You wouldn't believe it. Arthur has completely stopped caring about what others think, and even her co-workers were utterly astonished by this. Arthur burst out like a superhero, laughing. "I at prison," adding by the old slogan, "Don't think about it." She chuckled to herself, thinking, "Don't laugh, there's nothing funny about this miserable life." Meanwhile, everyone was fixated on the tragedy as Thomas shamelessly played up the victims for vote. He even went so far as to call the killer coward hiding in a hole just a joke, while Arthur couldn't help but feel the world was just too ironic. But her revenge brought criticism. Who allowed the snobby rich to define others? Nobody ever thought of her as the real victim. The next day, Arthur poured her heart out to a therapist who was zoned out, often interrupting her relatives. The doctor asked, "So how's work? Any serious thoughts?" She replied, "All I ever heavy thoughts, but you can't hear them at all." Turns out, it was just a social welfare agency, and the doctor didn't care about patients, only if they got their checks on. And to make matters worse, the government slashed the budget, meaning they were closing next week, which had absolutely nothing to do with Arthur. At this moment, with the doctor downstairs, Arthur understood her anxiety and forgave her indifference. Today, Arthur finally got her shot to perform at the bar, buzzing with excitement as she prepared a fancy script. However, when she hit the stage, her nerves got the better of her, and she burst into uncontrollable laughter. What's she supposed to do? The laughter echoed through the bar, and the audience stared at her like she was an alien, except for one lady in the corner who seemed to be enjoying. After the show, Arthur wandered alone down the bustling street. That buzz didn't belong to her at all. Suddenly she spotted a poster about the shooting, and to her surprise, the killer clown was hailed as a hero. For the first time, she realized she had found a meaning to her existence. That night, her mom kept asking Arthur to help send her letter to Thomas, and out of curiosity, Arthur opened it. To her horror, she discovered a chilling truth. Arthur was actually Thomas-san. Her mom, realizing her time was short, wrote to Thomas hoping he would help her out of family obligation. The sudden truth hit her like a bolt of lightning. Arthur couldn't believe it was true, bewildered as to why Thomas, as a father, would abandon her. It wasn't until she confronted her mom for the truth that she learned the buried secret. Thomas cruelly abandoned her mother. Even worse, he threatened her mom to sign a confidentiality agreement, forbidding her from ever speaking of it again. Arthur couldn't handle such betrayal, and the next day, she went alone to Thomas' residence. She met Thomas' other son, Bruce, who looked totally bummed out, and little did she know he was destined to be Batman. Arthur thought she had entertained Bruce with a magic trick, not caring about his mood at all. Just then, the butler barged in, coldly yanking Bruce away from Arthur. Arthur explained she was a good person, but the butler still looked utterly disgusted. Later, Arthur clarified her intentions, revealing her mother's connection to Thomas to the butler, but the butler's words completely infuriated her. No matter what the truth was, she wouldn't allow anyone to slander her. Gazing at Bruce, she didn't want to acknowledge her mother, but desperately wished to become a better person. Her truth became an almost fanatical belief. No matter what the truth was, she absolutely wouldn't allow anyone to defame her mother. But looking at little Bruce, Arthur suddenly felt lost and hurriedly fled the scene. Maybe she just didn't want Bruce, this little brother, to think she was a bad person. Yet, misfortune seems to seek out the unfortunate. That night, her mom was rushed to the hospital due to a stroke, and the police connected her to the shooting case. Fortunately, she managed to outsmart the police when they questioned her. Back in the hospital room, Arthur stayed with her mother to watch the Maury show, only to find Maury used her performance video to roast her. Watching this unfold, Arthur's admiration for Maury was instantly replaced by fury. Could it be that celebrities possess the privilege to mock others' dreams at will without any reproach? Meanwhile, the subway shooting incident served as a fuse that thoroughly ignited and stirred up the determination and anger of the common people to resist. They refused to be oppressed any longer, so people dressed as clowns and began the protest. They set their sights on exposing Thomas' hypocrisy. He seemed to realize clowns' sacrifices, built his wealth but was unaffected, still planning the charity gala. The next day, Arthur blended into the crowd of clowns, instantly getting caught up in the emotions of the moment. Once a social outcast, now she felt a sense of belonging. With thousands of the oppressed by her side, she felt empowered. Arthur, exploiting the chaos, snuck into the venue and met Thomas. Upon mentioning her mother, Thomas' face changed in an instant, shattering Arthur's last shred of hope. "Don't bring up such weird stuff. I promise you I don't want to be uncomfortable." To calm herself down, Arthur locked herself in the fridge and was sleepless all night. The next day, she received an invitation from Maury to be a guest on his show next Thursday. She had no idea why, after being ridiculed, they could still gallantly invite her.